good Tuesday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you back on our regular McFiles network. We are so grateful to have you tonight, and we have titled the program Opening a Can of Branco. And we have got the one and only Tony Branco, award-winning. And he asked me yesterday, was he still my friend? He's my brother. After this wonderful cartoon I will show you in a minute. I think it's the best cartoon you've ever done. I just want you to say that I was getting like thumbs up, 10 out of 10, 20 out of 10, 15 out of 10. I mean, I was getting rave reviews. I was just questioning when I turned my nose, though. That nose was a little long. I don't know. I look like my dad with gray hair when I looked at it again. I was like, how did Tony do that? That's pretty good. It's good to see you, buddy. How are you, my friend? It's good to see you. We got a great stuff, a lot of crap to talk about tonight.
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to see everybody tonight. And we're on the E-Network and Facebook. We want to welcome those folks in, and we'll have this up on the McFiles Telegram room. We've got to get caught up there. Listen, but it's good to see you tonight. I do want to thank you for that cartoon. It was really great. But I want to thank you for your years of work. You have been doing this for a while, and we've always gotten great reviews about you. When I announced you was coming on, people was just going crazy yesterday. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that to say it. People are very sincerely happy that you're here tonight. I am. I know I'm one of them, too. I do want to start a little bit on a down note. Today was the day that President Trump had to appear, at least. He got indicted last Thursday night in that Miami courtroom. And I tell you, I've watched your cartoon feed, and you've really been nailing some of these things to the wall. You've got a current occupant of the White House that him and his son both, there's hard evidence, and evidently Grassley claims, at least, that he's got an audio tape of these Burisma people that literally said they were bribing the Bidens with money and the Ukraine. And then you start thinking about the money we have thrown in the toilet, the Ukrainian toilet. I could have bought 10 countries with what we've given the Ukraine. And then you have total silence out of the FBI. They won't even look into these financial records, but yet you've got an ex-president, Tony, that I don't see a crime that's been committed other than the fact they can't beat him at the ballot box. They've got to do this to get him out of the way. And it's a travesty of justice, but this is the scary part. And I think most people in this audience get it, but a lot of people in this country don't. This is beyond Donald Trump. Because if they get away with this, and I'm not believing they will, but look, with this crap messed up justice system tonight, ain't nobody, you can't, other than the Lord's help and the way this country is, who knows what's going to happen. But if they get away with it, there ain't a soul that's listening to us that's safe anymore. And you can pretty much say that we have ended the constitutional republic of the United States of America, because we have no constitution anymore at this point, because political enemies of the certain of the sitting government has now become fair game. And that means none of us are safe, because they may not just make it about political enemies next time. It may be enemies out here like myself and others that don't go with like the Tony Brancos, that don't go along with the liberal line. They're coming after us next. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. I'm showing the man, and I'll show you the crime. And they've already done it to a mild degree. Well, not even a mild degree, what they're doing with censoring on Facebook, Instagram. Yet you have pedophiles on Instagram, but they're censoring conservative speech on Instagram. Tells you pretty much what all you need to know. But you have to ask yourself one question about this indictment. Whether there's something to it or not, or something they can get him on legally, there may or may not be. But you have to ask yourself one question. Would they be doing it if it wasn't Trump? Would they be doing it if this was a Democrat?
No.
And we already know that they wouldn't be doing it. They did it. They didn't do it to Hillary. She had classified documents on a private server full of that had been intercepted from Chinese, from what I understand. She smashed phones. Talk about interfering with justice. I mean, smashed all of her phones. She smashed anything that could indict her, that could incriminate her. She did this after they were subpoenaed. So you have to all you have to do is shoe on the other foot here. It's just so obvious. Anybody should step back. Democrat, left, people on the left, people on the right. If you want to live in that kind of country, eventually they're coming for you. I can guarantee it. All you have to do is disagree with them on one thing, or have the wrong kind of clothes, or have something. They can come after you, and you're going to be going, well, I didn't know that they could do this. Well, they've been doing it. They've been doing it. The conservatives, but you didn't say anything about it. You didn't stand up. And we better start. All of us should be standing up to this unconstitutional crap.
Absolutely. And again, I think some of it goes back to what you just said. I think the Republicans have laid down, and I found it intriguing. It happened Thursday night, and I found it intriguing. I don't even know if they've even done it yet, but the Senate leadership, Tony, has been quiet. You've not heard anything, no condemnation coming from John Thune. You've not heard any condemnation about this from Mitch McConnell. You've not heard any condemnation coming from the leaders of the Senate. There's been a few voices in the House that have raised, concern about it. And I just want to puke when I hear they're raising concern about it. No, somebody needs to raise some freaking hell. They need to bring the fire of hell down on this justice. Merrick Garland needs to be impeached immediately tonight. Joe Biden needs to be impeached immediately tonight. This whole justice system needs to be impeached, from Merrick Garland down to the freaking janitor of the U.S. Department of Justice need to be in jail tonight for doing this stuff that is not only unconstitutional, Tony, but it's unlawful under this constitutional republic.
Mm-hmm. But it just goes to show you that there's no limits to what they'll do to win this 2024 election. And I suggest that if Trump does get away with this, he should probably get a double ply, double vested bulletproof vest, because
that's right, buddy.
The only thing they're going to have left. Don't put it past them. They've done it before. The CIA has done it before, and he better find a way to protect himself, because that's the only thing they'll have left.
That's the only thing they got left. That's the only thing they got left. And while I'm at it on the impeachable, folks, Alvin Bragg needs to be behind the freaking jail with his carcass as well tonight, because that sham of a thing. But I do find it interesting. I was looking at Twitter today, and all the dirt's coming out on this Smith character, the guy that's prosecuting this case against Trump, and his ties to the Obamas. And again, you got the Attorney General of the United States basically turning his head tonight and not even recognizing this. And then you've got Joe Biden sticking his middle finger up to the FBI. Basically, actually, he's not sticking it to the FBI. He's given more than his finger to the FBI tonight, I'm sure. I won't go there. But he's sticking his middle finger up to America, and he's sticking his middle finger up to James Comer, the guy that's trying to get those documents. And I do have to ask you a question about Grassley. Do you think that this against Biden is just all talk and blather again by the Republicans, or do you think they're going to have the kahunas, and we call them the balls in the South, if they got the balls to go after this president that's in office who is really corruption? Because the timing on the Trump indictment, it took the story off of the networks. CNN hasn't covered the Biden stuff in 7 days since Thursday. They've been totally silent.
And they are the mainstream media, that's CNN, MSNBC, PBS, New York Times, ABC, NBC, ABC, CBS, are enemies of the people.
Yes, they are.
Because they're not giving the people out there the type of information they need to make a decision. They're in cahoots with our intelligence. The intelligence people that said that the Hunter Biden was Russia information, they just went along with it. They didn't investigate that. So we're sitting there with the opposition, or the people that could make decisions on voting, with a bunch of useless information, and the media is pushing it out. We might as well be living in the Soviet Union.
Come on, buddy.
In the middle of the 60s.
Come on.
Because Pravda, that's exactly what Pravda is, state-run media. And there are very few people that have the courage or the understanding to branch out from the regular mainstream Democrat socialist media to find some other truths that might make sense. At least watch the other side for a little bit and then decide, well, is there anything to this? And do some research. But they're too lazy, I guess, to do that.
Well, I'm going to just say this. I encourage the people listening to us tonight, we don't need to be silent. If you got a Twitter handle, you got a Facebook page, You got a True Social page. You need to be hammering this crap every day. You need to be posting every story you can about Burisma. You need to be posting everything you can. Give them some of their own medicine. Post. Let them do to you what they will do to you. I would rather go down swinging, Tony, than sit on my carcass and keep my mouth shut. I don't care. Look, they've yanked this channel down 3 times. We've lost a Twitter handle or 2 through the years, through these 6 years. I don't care at this point. If they take me off this whole area, I will find a way to get on this network. I will find a way for this network to go, Rumble or whatever. And I will tell you this.
Great. Rumble is great. They don't take anything down. We
absolutely
need to go into but you're right. We need to go into the lion's den and
Come on.
stay there. We need to go in every chance we get, whether it's your break room. People have asked me, and I remember when Rush Limbaugh was around, people would ask him, well, what can we do? You have a radio show. You can do a lot.
You do a lot.
You can talk to family members. You can talk to people in the break room. Just have discussions with them. That's all it takes. Inform yourself and then go talk. If you can draw, do some cartoons.
Yeah, do some cartoons like Tony Branco did. Hey, I got to ask you a question. We're going to stay on this for a minute. We're going to move to something else. But on a scale of 1 to 10, do you trust Grassley? Do you think Grassley's got the balls to do anything about this, or do you think this is going to fall in no man's land again?
I don't know. Not sure about Grassley at all. I know that he has some information. I have to turn something off here.
You're fine.
Interrupting my video. Yeah. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
But Grassley he's done some good things. He's talking good. I'm interested in what he has to say, but I have to see it. We've been disappointed so many times with information. We got this and we got that, and I don't want us to do the side that Adam Schiff did. Like, I have the evidence right here. I've seen the evidence.
Exactly.
Russia collusion is real. No, I got to see it. I don't want to be disappointed.
Right. Absolutely, buddy. I'm with you. I've got your cartoon up, the one that Joe Biden's got blood on his hands, and I think it's appropriate. He's sticking his tongue out at James Comer, and he's got the FBI, the Biden corruption, classified documents. And that's the other thing, Tony, the very thing that they indicted Trump for God's sake, Joe Biden had this crap in a Cadillac in a garage, man. You talking about Hillary? At least Hillary put it on a server. Joe Biden had these documents out. Mike Pence had these documents out. Every president has the right to declassify stuff. And look, I don't know if this is true or not, and maybe you do. I heard that they were going after the documents related to January the 6th. I could give 2 bit pins less if they were going after the fact the Easter Bunny is real. He's got the right to keep those documents at the president's discretion. The Constitution says he can do it, correct?
And Biden didn't.
And Biden didn't.
Pence didn't have it.
No.
And they're trying to figure out some espionage thing here.
Oh, get me a break.
Again, you got to go back to, would they be doing this if it wasn't for Trump? Or if this was a Democrat? If this was Hillary, would they do it? We already know they wouldn't, because Hillary had all that stuff, 10 times what Trump did, and they did nothing. I don't know.
Well, look, I will tell you this. It is a scary time for our country, justice-wise. Look, I ain't got to the perversion part yet. I'm just dealing with the justice part tonight. This alone makes me lay my head down at night and worry for this country more than anything else. Look, I'm not too happy, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, what's going on with the social and the culture, but I'm talking about, again, this is the fabric, Tony. This is what I want to show that, I want to put that cartoon up, and I really appreciated you doing this cartoon about D-Day, because D-Day happened while I was gone. I was on vacation last week. It was the 79th anniversary of D-Day, and I love what you said here. Freedom isn't free. And, it's sad that people don't even celebrate D-Day anymore. We don't even understand. Most Christians, most Americans, you say D-Day, they look at you and roll their eyes. I said, what is that? And they don't even realize that we fought against, we shed blood, man. 55 million people in this world, and over probably 20 million Americans lost their life in World War II in either indirectly or a direct way. And they fought against fascism. They fought against Nazism, man. And ultimately we wound up losing millions more, thousands more against communism in the following years that followed with the Korean conflict, the Vietnam conflict. And we fought the Russians in the Cold War, and we've had these wars, and we've had these skirmishes, Cambodia, and we've given precious treasure to basically piss it away against this fascist government that is over us tonight, correct?
But isn't it ironic? They want to destroy the very people, the very kind of people who fought against communism and fascism. Those kind of people, those are the people the left is trying to destroy. Those kind of people are what the left is trying to destroy. And Biden desecrates the U.S. flag that so many thousands and thousands of Americans died for, desecrates that flag on the U.S. lawn, on the White House lawn. When I saw that, you're never supposed to put the U.S. flag on an inferior position.
That's right.
And they put the rainbow
flag in the middle of it,
surrounded by smaller U.S. flags. That is just despicable. That's desecration of the United States flag by our president. That's the president you have right now.
That is the president we've got. And I want to show them this cartoon here that you did about Schiff. And I thought that was interesting because this is where we're at tonight. They won't throw you in jail for burning the American flag, but Adam Schiff says arrest the individual that burns the rainbow flag. Well, I got news for you, Adam. You better not be bringing a rainbow flag around Tennessee because we heal people. We set bonfires with those things, and we warm the marshmallows with that thing. So you bring it on and come on down here to these hills, Mr. Schiffy boy, because you're full of bullshit. Because, Tony, that is not a crime to burn the rainbow flag. I hate to tell him. And, you know, this is the thing. And I want to get that off my face because I wanted people to see my face and act like I'm not hiding behind that cartoon. But that cartoon's right. That's exactly where we're at tonight. You can't say nothing. You can't say nothing about this group. You can't go out there and call it perversion. You can't go out and call it sick. The animal kingdom don't do this stuff. The animals know better than what they're doing. Okay? Let's get that out of the way. But the fact that they've hijacked the government because you've got people in the government that are like this. And as you said, the most disgraceful, most shameful, most demonic, most debauchery symbol that I ever witnessed yesterday, and I told you this before the show, in all of my years as an American, as a human being on this earth, Tony, we went through the Carter years. We went through the Clinton years. We went through the Obama years. And granted, these men were nuts. And I'm not saying the Bushes were perfect. I'm not saying Reagan was perfect. But there was a little bit of decorum. There was a little bit of respect for America. What I witnessed yesterday was a shameful, disgraceful.
This is a totally different Democrat Party. This is not the Democrat Party your grandparents, your parents, your from the 60s and 70s. Those people that were protesting and doing all the stuff down in Haight-Ashbury and San Francisco and those revolutionaries, those people are not the same as Democrats.
No, they're not.
Then. They are now, the revolutionaries are running your government. They're not the same. They're Marxists.
That's right.
They're communists. They're Marxists. They have been cultivated in these universities to where now they're running the country from a Marxist Saul Alinsky point of view. And everything that is goes through that prism, never goes through the Constitution. They hate the Constitution because the Constitution is the thing that stands in their way, just like Trump standing in their way. They're standing in their way of being able to control us 100%, tell us what to eat, tell us what kind of stove we can have, what kind of car we can drive. That is their objective. They use the climate change. They use all types of things, COVID, whatever it takes to be able to control every aspect of your life because they cannot stand individualism. They can't stand people out here enjoying themselves and making decisions for themselves. That is the new Democrat Party. And the people who are Democrats that keep voting for them, you're just as much at fault for this disaster that Biden's throwing on us.
And let me add something to that. You keep going, but I want to add a little caveat.
Oh, that's fine.
And Republicans who sit on their carcass candy blanks and don't vote as well. They're culpable in this as well, correct?
Yeah. Why should I vote? It ain't going to matter anyway. No, not
Thank
if you
you.
don't vote.
Thank you. And, we were talking about this. I'm glad you brought this up because I want to talk about this a minute. I've shared this the last time I was on the show. I can't remember what night it was. People get mad at me. They don't like when I say this because they get defensive and they say, well, I ain't like that. Oh, yeah, we all are like this. Republicans are like this. I worked for a guy many years ago, and he was what he called himself a yellow dog Democrat. And he told me one day in his office, when I asked him was he voting for Bush or Kerry, and he let me know in a profanity-laced tirade in a gentle way. He liked me. Me and Rex got along good, but he was making this point that Bush was not his man. And I'm not saying Bush was perfect, but compared to Kerry and Gore, for God's sake, I mean, that's like whatever. But anyway, he told me this. He said, we Democrats, he said, we call ourselves yellow dog Democrats because if a yellow dog runs for office, we're going to vote for him. We don't care. Now, our side, Tony, and I'm already hearing it. I'm already hearing it right now. And I'm not so sure this audience is like that. There may be a few, one or two. So I'm not trying to come down on this audience because I hope my audience understands I love them tonight, and I do. But there are some that's going to listen to this by replay that are like this, and I know they are. And they get real ready to punch McDonald right in the face when I say this. But see, the Republicans are like this. We won't vote for a yellow dog. We don't care if the yellow dog destroys the country. We don't care if a mentally off something in Pennsylvania is the senator of Pennsylvania. We'll vote for somebody like that. The Democrats will vote for that. They don't care. No. We get this Trump-DeSantis feud going, and we get our little favorite candidate, and we see one thing. They may agree with somebody for 10 things and one thing that they don't agree with. Bye-bye, I ain't voting. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take my toys, and I'm going to sit down. Well, guess what? Your country's going to hell if you do.
Yeah, I'm going to stab myself in the eye. I'll show you.
I'll show you. That's exactly what we do, Tony. That is exactly what... Is that not what we do?
Absolutely. You know why? A lot of it is conservative-minded people have an individual type frame of thinking, way of thinking. Democrats, well, I don't even like calling them Democrats. I mean, Marxists, leftist voters on that side of the aisle, they think more like the Borg. And they've been so convinced and so brainwashed into thinking that Republicans are fascists. Now, just for a second, I brought this up. Fascists, okay. Conservatives are for free speech, free religion, being able to protect yourself, law and order, the ability for everybody to do what they like to do as long as it's not hurting somebody else. And they call those fascists. Now, who are the ones that are trying to silence free speech? Who are the ones that try taking away your ability to defend yourself? Who are the ones that hate religion or any type of religion, really, unless it's global warming or climate change? That's
exactly right.
Who are the ones teaming up with corporate America?
Come on.
Who are the ones teaming up with corporate America to rule over people? That is the Democrat Party. That is not conservatives. That's not libertarian. And that's all I got to say about that, but it just seems to be
it's right.
So obvious that conservatives are the antithesis of fascism.
That's right.
So stop with the fascism stuff. If you're a Democrat thinking about that you won't vote for a Republican because of that, get off of that train. Don't buy into the mainstream media fascists that are trying to pollute your brain.
All right. You got a cartoon I want to talk to you about. It's beautiful. Main Street America. You got the Democrat jackass putting the porn in schools, the transgendery for kids, drag queen in schools, the woke corporations, like you just talked about, the trans and female sports, and shoving it down Main Street America, Tony. Shoving it down Main Street America. And let me tell you something. If that is not a more accurate picture of the United States of America on this 13th day of June tonight, 2023, I don't think I've ever seen anything that sums up our country tonight. That's where we're at tonight. You know, I had some dear friends on the show last night. I've known them for just about 3 years. And, you know, it hit me last night. In just the 3 years I've known them, this was not the country 3 years ago. This has just happened. Maybe it's been coming on. But the last 6 months, and especially the last probably 12 months since Biden has been in office, buddy, I'm going to tell you something. They have shoved this crap up our keisters. And Target and Kohl's And the baseball, by the way, I got to just tell the Major League Baseball teams, you bunch of punk cowards. You all are celebrating Pride Night, most of you tomorrow night, but the MLB people got a little wind of what was going on at Bud Light and saw the Bud downward spiral of the money, and Target and Kohl's and all these other, and by the way, Cracker Barrel too, folks. They've got a freaking rainbow flag rocking chair for you now. Walgreens, all of them. But the Major League Baseball wussies told the baseball teams tonight, they says, do not, among any circumstances, wear those Pride outfits. But you know what that tells me? They were going to parade on that baseball field in a bunch of fairy outfits and play baseball and try to salute the LGBTQ. And then you got family members and kids in those stands, Tony. To me, it's no different than what Target was doing, targeting these kids with this pedophile, demonic stuff, going after them. And I saw somebody sent me a picture today, and I don't know who made it. And if I find out who made it, they'll never have a dollar of mine ever again. And it had queer baby on it. It was a baby. It was a baby's outfit. The baby was a year old. And it had queer kid, queer baby. I'm a queer baby. Well, how does the baby know that? Unless mom and daddy is putting a shirt on him and telling him or her that, even as a child. But the Major League Baseball people were going to evidently not only shove this down our face with the American pastime, they were going to dress up like fairies tomorrow night. And the Major League Baseball team league executive said, we might not want to go down that road. And they quietly, like a bunch of cowards, and I call them a bunch of spiritual political whores. They sell themselves out to these lobbyists and these groups. And then when the heat gets on, whoops, we don't need to do that, boys. Yeah. I'm just a little fired up move. I ain't been here for a week, so they get a double whammy of Branco and Mac tonight, the Mac Branco show. Is that not a bunch of cowardly punks to you? That's just cowardly.
Absolutely. They think they're being hip or cool, trying to bring in extra revenue from this sector, not, or they're afraid of the extortion that the LGBTQ are going to put on them, and they're more afraid. Seems like they're more afraid of the LGBTQ mafia than they are of its own customers. And Bud Light's found this out. Target's found this out.
Yes.
A few others are finding it out. That you got to start thinking, and this is dereliction to its stockholders.
Yes,
the stockholders are starting to sue them because they're doing things that are in contrast to what you're supposed to do as far as their stocks go.
Yeah,
you're not thinking profit. You're just thinking to get along to keep the wolf away from the door. Because a lot of these CEOs, I believe, and owners of these companies don't believe in it themselves. They're just doing it, like I said, to keep the wolf away from the door.
That's so true.
They can live another day.
That's so true.
They're not fighting against it. They need to fight against it. We all need to fight against it.
But let me tell you this: you can't have your cake and eat it too, though. I want to tell these companies you can't placate this group. And you know what? It hit me this week when I was off a little bit. And I know you remember the guy out in Colorado, Baker, that Jack, I can't remember his name. You remember him, the Colorado baker that the LGBTQ went into his shop and said, we're going to sue you for not making us a cake. So now that same group is telling the country that if you don't support what we're doing, you're a bunch of fascists, you're a bunch of homophobes. And one professor even said it was terrorism to boycott these stores. Like now they're telling us you have to go in and shop at these woke stores, even though we tried to tell a baker that because he didn't want to make a cake for me in his free store, that was terrorism. They can't have it both ways, Tony.
They never stop.
They never stop.
They never notice every issue that we vote against and win. Notice how it always comes back in a different way a couple of years later. Notice that? They never stop. When the thing is here's the deal. We do not care. I don't care what people do in their private lives.
I don't either.
I really don't. Just leave the kids alone.
I was headed next.
Shove it down my throat. That's all you have to do. You can live your life. We're a free country, and we're free as adults to do what we want to do. But don't shove it down our throats and leave the kids alone. I mean, what's so hard about this? Like, DeSantis is banning books. No, he's keeping them out of the pornography out of school libraries. That's
Exactly
not
right.
banning books. That's keeping third graders from seeing graphic material and graphic reading. And if you read some of the stuff that they were reading to kids or that kids had access to, it's just, I mean, they did a little thing where they did an AI thing having Biden reading some of these books.
You mean he can
like
read?
He was doing story hour, and they were horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's called banning books, because that's what the liberals do. If you're against illegal immigration, you're against immigration. If you're against kids getting pornography in libraries, you're banning books. They always go to the extreme. Wrong.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, by the way, Biden can even read with AI. I'm shocked about that. Him and Fetterman are... Anyway, I'm so much in trouble already. I might as well just go ahead and hit a home run tonight, right? Just knock it out of the park.
There's got to be a cartoon in there.
You got it. There's a cartoon for you right there. I'm giving you so much inspiration tonight. By the way, Branco's going to do another one, I hope, soon and he's going to put "Smoke Up, Johnny," and he's going to have McDonald's face on that, because that's our new saying now. Smoke up. I wanted to say
it took me a year to do that last one.
Did you? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to tell you something, bro. This was the best one you've ever done. That is awesome. There it is, right there. The no dumb foolery zone. Bill O'Reilly ain't got on the Mac, man. There is no dumb foolery zone. It ain't the no spin zone here. Hey, I want to talk about these kids. We got about 10, 15 minutes. Listen, that is my issue too. That's my issue too. I'm with you. This show passes no judgment on people's spiritual situation. And I'll tell you why I don't. I know what the Bible says about this stuff. Now, if they come to me and ask me what I believe spiritually, I'm going to tell them to their face and tell them the truth. And I've got a right on this show to express my spiritual opinion about that situation and what the Bible says about it. I've got a right to do that on this show because this is my domain. But as far as judging people that decide that that's the path they want to take, when the end of this life comes and we stand before God the Creator, all of us will, Chris McDonald will not be on that throne. God Almighty will. They're going to have to answer to him, not me. But my issue with this group, all of them, the LGBTQ, the transgenders, the porn queens, the transgender queens, the male and female sports, is, Tony, they're targeting the most innocent among us. They are targeting the children. And I'm going to tell you something. They are recruiting and grooming and pedophiling. Look, I will say this. I'm going to go ahead on record tonight. So YouTube, listen up good. You take this down if you want. It is nothing but pedophilia to me. It is child abuse. It is rank criminal. And I believe that anybody going in front of a child in a library, it is a criminal act. That is child. Look, let me tell you something. If a man, Tony, we got a situation here in Knoxville tonight. A 26-year-old kid, and it's not a kid, he was an adult. He was abusing a 14-year-old girl at a middle school at a church, okay? The family's filed a lawsuit. The kid's in jail. The church is in shambles right now because of allowing it, okay? Now, that's a 26-year-old attacking a 14-year-old. Now, think about this. But yet, in this messed up, smoke up, meth-induced world that we live in America, and this crazy fog that's on our brains, we allow the same 26-year-old to dress up like a queer and dress up like a woman, and if he was to go into a public library and talk to a bunch of third graders or talk to a bunch of second graders, that's okay. Yeah, and I'm not saying what he did with a 14-year-old is okay, but we say that that's okay in our smoke meth-induced world.
Yeah, they shake their butts in front of them, make them, it's just appalling to what they're allowed, they're saying is okay, but it's all part of the disintegration. That's part of the communist doctrine. That's part of the Saul Alinsky doctrine, the Marxist doctrine, is to disintegrate our morals, to gray our morals, take away, abolish our taboos, and make new taboos that go along with their Marxist ideology. And I used to say, about that, but more and more clear every day, it's exactly the direction that they're going, because there's no other reason for it. I mean, you wouldn't have heard of this 10 years ago. What's going on?
No, you wouldn't have.
And they've accelerated. Since Trump was in office, they were threatened by Trump, and now they're on revolution steroids, because this is pretty much the Chinese Cultural Revolution induced by China. But China wouldn't let the Chinese people get away with half of the stuff that they're instructing and brainwashing our people into doing.
Without a doubt, buddy. I want to shift gears on you a little bit to the country's financial stuff, and we're going to talk Trump DeSantis here at the end. You did a cartoon, great cartoon, the Uniparty basically sending our money to hell with the debt. What was your thoughts on McCartney? I know I'm a little mixed. I don't take this view that he caved. I'm not saying he was I'm not saying we got the best deal out of the deal, but considering that he had maybe a 5-person majority in the House with no Senate help, I'm not so sure he gets anything better. And that's just my opinion. I'm not saying it could have been better. It could have been definitely a lot better. But what's your thoughts on McCartney? But I think this Uniparty thing we need to talk about, because that's the issue, isn't it not? That we've got people in D.C. that there is no distinction between either party anymore. And when these things go on, it's us that pay that debt. That money that's burning in that bag is the U.S. dollar. That's our dollars. That's not their dollars, Tony. It's us. That's our money.
Yeah. And it's our future. It's
yes.
our grandkids' money. It's our
yes.
great grandkids' money, if we look at it in that perspective. But what we need, and what I think the American people out here are looking for, conservatives, libertarians, are looking for somebody that fights as hard as Pelosi did for evil.
Correct.
Somebody that gets in there in the trenches and knows how to negotiate, knows how to be a hard-nosed. Because Pelosi, I mean, I didn't agree with anything she did, but man, she fought.
She did.
Fought for evil.
She did.
But she fought. And a lot of people don't believe McCarthy has the ability to do that. He had the opportunity now, from what I understand, he had the opportunity to get better.
I do believe that.
Because the president and the Democrats did not want to go in default and have it rest on their shoulders. So he could have fought a little harder. And there was a few things that the hardline Republicans didn't know he was going to do that he kind of snuck in there. Whether he did it wittingly or not, I have no idea. But I think that's what basically this is. We have people feel like this is a uniparty scratching each other's back while our country burns to the ground and our money burns to the ground.
Exactly right.
Oblivious because they're so entrenched in the center of the world that they consider the center of the world is Washington, D.C., that they're oblivious to what's going out here in real country, Main Street, what's going on in the world. You got China building influence in our own hemisphere in all these Latin America countries. They're building spy machines in Cuba. They're colonizing Africa. They're going after it, and we're sitting there worried about pronouns and kids.
Come on.
And brainwashing kids. Drag shows.
No, that's right.
Come on, people.
That's right.
This is why people are really upset, because they just feel our government, this Marxist, and I don't put this on Biden, because if you look at Biden back when he was a young man or younger man, just 10, 15 years ago, he was articulate. He could speak. He could just rattle it off, whether he was full of crap or not. He still could.
That's right.
Look at him now. He barely can get a sentence out without stumbling all over himself, falling upstairs, which is
it takes skill to do that.
Yeah, he's doing all this stuff. He's a shell. He's being operated by Obama, the Obama administration's third term. This is what this is. Marxism, and they were scared to death with Trump, so they're on steroids now.
All right, now final segment, and I want to ask you a very serious question. And there's not a right or wrong answer here, but I wanted your opinion. And I think I know where you're going to go with this, but we sort of talked about it too before the show. I do not believe, as much as I respect Ron DeSantis, that Ron DeSantis can get us out of this. I believe a lame duck Trump is better, even though he's got 4 years. because Trump's the kind of guy, they pissed him off so bad right now. There won't be a swamp creature within 100,000 miles of that White House this time. I think he learned his lesson that you cannot shake hands with the swamp and then go out and campaign that I'm going to get rid of the swamp. You can't do that. I think that they have opened up a can. They're going to about open up a can of what we call in the South whip, and it rhymes with gas. I'll just say whip gas, just so they won't think I'm cussing on my show tonight. I think he's going to open that. That's why they're scared of him. They're more scared of him than there ever will be DeSantis. I like DeSantis. I think if he would just graciously bow out, go to Trump and say, look, I don't want to fight you in this. I want to be part of this. I want to help you get elected. And take number 2 right now. I think that the mega party, the group that supports Trump tonight, we will get behind him with everything and the kitchen sink plus the House in 2028. We'll get behind him. I think this feud has got nothing good to come of it. And I think that my personal opinion is my money's on Trump. I believe Trump is the answer for 2024. What does Tony Branco believe?
I kind of agree with you there. This happens every primary.
It does.
They all do this. They get this bickering stuff, and then all of a sudden, out of it comes a vice president and the president as far as the general election goes. But here's the difference that I see. Trump is a businessman. All the good you can say about DeSantis, he's still a politician.
Yes, he is.
A businessman looks at a problem. What does he do? What's his instinct? His instinct for that problem is to fix it instantly. Look at how. That's why Trump was able to complete all his promises, because he looked at each problem that came out and he fixed it. He didn't think about, well, see, now if I don't fix it, I can run on this next year. But if I kind of fix it and pretend like I tried my best, I can still work on this. He doesn't think in those terms. Now, DeSantis, as good as he has been for Florida, is a different ball game when you're looking at
the national. That's exactly right.
National thing. He's got all these other things to deal with. I cannot. I just have a feeling that DeSantis, when it gets time to play hardball with these swamp creatures, is going to play his politic games with them. Give a little here, take a little bit of this, doing a little of that. I think like you said, I think the only person that can get in there and solve these problems is Trump.
Yeah.
With 4 years, he'll go to work. He's probably already thinking about getting the right people. Has already solicited them, already talked to them, having discussions. And I think once he gets in there, he's going to go to town. I just don't think that as good as DeSantis has been for Florida, I just don't think that's capable. Now,
totally
as
with
a
you.
vice president, maybe.
I'm not even sure it's time for him to be VP. I think that he would be better served stay in Florida. Make sure Florida's secure for another 4 years, because Florida's got an election again. They've got another election before the 2028, and he can run again. No, I take that back. This is his second term, but he can secure Florida, get a Republican replacement. He's left the state in good shape if they will and stay on this path. But Tony, I still believe, and I personally don't believe that these indictments are going to go anywhere. I think that look, I don't know who Trump's lawyers are tonight. I would be pushing for an immediate dismissal right now. Maybe they're doing that. I would be going after Smith. I'd be asking for his impeachment. With his ties, I put it like this. I would be scorching the earth because these people, and let CNN say what they want to say, these people ain't got a brain. Buffoons and we do the buffoons a disservice by calling CNN news anchors buffoons. The buffoons have got more common sense than CNN anchors do, and MSNBC anchors. You got to stop worrying about what they're going to say about your guy. I'm sorry, they're not going to give your guy a fair shake. They went ballistic on this stuff, and that's exactly why they did what they did when they did it. They did it the night that the story about Biden and Hunter were basically breaking, so we had to throw gasoline on Trump and let's explode this. But this is the thing about this, and I've seen this through the years, and you have too. That only goes so far. You can't keep doing that for a whole year. And if I was Trump's lawyers, I would draw this thing out because they don't have to have a trial. They can tell the judge, we don't want a trial till after the election. And what I was hearing from legal people, he can pick when he's got his trial. I mean, he can draw this thing out. And see, if their goal is to get him out of the election, it ain't going to do him any good if he gets elected in November to still go after him. I just think that the fire of this is going to finally burn down to an ebb, and they will not be able to ignore the Biden story forever. They may try, but they can't. But this is the thing. If he gets in, I speak of scorched earth. I think he sets a torch to this whole thing, and I think that he's got nothing to lose, and that's the kind of guy that can fix this country. It may not solve it forever because he's only got 4 years, but he can set us back on the right course to carry us and get us out of this abyss where we're at tonight. I hope I'm right about that. I'm not been right about everything over the last 6 years on this show, but I hope that's one thing that I'm right about. That
yeah.
Go ahead.
They're never going to stop coming after him.
Oh,
I
no.
don't care if he wins. I don't care if he loses. They're never going to stop coming after him because that's all they care about. In fact, if he gets away with this, if he gets off, if somehow they finagled this out, because we have to realize that this wouldn't be happening if he was a Democrat right off the bat. But if he gets off on this and he moves this aside, he better wear a 2-ply, double-vested, bulletproof vest because they're coming after him. They will never stop. To me, there is nothing they won't do to stop this guy.
I'm with you there.
Better be careful.
I'm with you there, buddy.
Yeah, they've done it before. They'll do it again.
Good deal, man. Hey, man, good stuff tonight. Always such a pleasure. Just want to see if I got any other of these cartoons I want to run by you.
Was I a little too serious tonight? Sometimes
no.
The indictment kind of fired me up a little bit.
I like you being fired up. This is the McFiles. This ain't Romper Room. This ain't Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. They get it. I've been gone for a week. Somebody says they missed me tonight. I'm glad one person out of 6 billion of the planet missed me. That's for good. That's a good thing. Tell everybody where they can find you, brother. Hey, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna have you back on soon. Look, I want you to keep up this fight, Tony. Look, I have utmost respect for you. You express yourself through these cartoons, and you encourage me. I know when I see your cartoons out there on Instagram and Twitter, it gets me fired up, and it gives me that boost to know we're not fighting this by ourselves, that there's others out there that are doing it. We're not isolated, and where I'm using my mouth to do it, you're using your pen to do it, and we got to keep this fight up. We cannot give them to this fatalistic, it's not worth anything, we have nothing to fight for. We got a lot to fight for. And we better keep fighting. And look, it's no disgrace to go down fighting. It is a disgrace to be cowards. And I pray that's not going to be
live on my feet than die on my knees.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Or die. What is it? You said it.
No, you just said it. No.
I'd rather die on my feet. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees.
Exactly. We're not going to bow to this tyranny. We're just not going to do it.
But I've heard that a lot from different people, and it's one of the reasons that keeps me in the game is people telling me that they rely on my cartoons to lift them up in the morning. It's one of the first things that some of them do is look for my cartoon just to get a lift through the day with all the crap that's going on in the media, what's going on absolutely out there. And basically, that's why I do it. And I appreciate all the sharing that people do with my cartoons. And if they want to get a hold of me or they want to see, I'm on Truth Social at A as in Apple, F as in Frank, Branco. That's at afbranco.com. You can kind of see it right up here. afbranco.com or at afbranco at True Social and also Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on a few places. My main website is Comically Incorrect. You can see it there, comicallyincorrect.com.
Good deal. Awesome.
And that's about it.
Good deal, man.
Thank you, everyone.
Tony, it's been good to see you tonight, man. We'll have you back on soon, and keep me posted on things, and we'll be in touch. We'll have some chit-chat. I'm going to get out west. I'm headed out west. We're going to get some meet and greets out west later this year, and I may surprise you. Now, if you're watching outside and you see a gray-headed guy walking, it's not a raccoon, so don't start shooting. It's the Mac Man. I'll have the 1776 shirt on so you know it's me. But it's not a raccoon. That's a rabbit in your front yard. I'll just say that to you. Good to see you, buddy. Tony Branco, everybody. Put some fire in that house. Have a good night, buddy. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. Good stuff there. That's my friend. And he is such a good guy. I tell you what. Mercy. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Did you enjoy that tonight? Oh, my goodness. My goodness, my goodness. Good stuff tonight. Put some fire in that house for him. Put some fire in that house. Put some fire in that house for the one and only Tony Branco. It is good to see everybody tonight. And it is good to be back on our e-network. And we ain't got to the good stuff yet. We're going to get to the good stuff. I encourage you to go to our McFiles War Room. I'm going to show you this story tonight, folks. I'm going to go ahead and put this story up because I want to talk about it before we leave you tonight. It's 9:30. We've been going right at 54 minutes, so I've not even kept you an hour yet. So I want to show you this. If I can pull this screen up, you can go back here just for a second. And I want to show you this because this happened just this afternoon. And I want to tell Major League Baseball they're nothing but a bunch of cowards for doing what they're doing. But there it is right there. They panicked today, and I haven't seen the uniforms that they had in mind. But this is from WorldNet Daily. Anheuser-Busch teamed with a female identifying man to promote its Bud Light beer. 2 cowboys, truck drivers, suburbanites, NASCAR fans that lost $27 billion. Bye-bye, Bud Light. And Target plunged headfirst into promotions of transgender and demonic clothing and other LGBTQ ideology for children. Lost $15 billion in value. Good for them. One analysis called the losses triggered by pushback against the woke ideology staggering. Now, Major League Baseball got the message. Because other than the Texas Rangers, folks, every single one of these teams, and a few of them have already done it, was going to celebrate Pride Night. The Braves were going to do it tomorrow night, or the 16th, which would be Friday night. Signals the facts that the tables have in fact turned at a time when Americans are pummeling pro-trans companies. The sports world has been working since January to put out the fires lit by the NHL. Defenseman Paravanov, the Russian who triggered a moral uprising by refusing to wear a pride jersey, was the catalyst for a league-wide mutiny no one saw coming. In the months that followed, 6 teams decided to kill the rainbow gear altogether, and a steady drip of skaters and goalies opted out. See, the Russians are not bad people. Way to go, Mr. Provorov. Citing a PR nightmare from the front office, by the end of the regular season, Commissioner Gary Bettman admitted that the league would have to reevaluate whether it would continue coercing players to wear a political message they personally exposed. You don't look as dumb as you look, Gary. You're not as dumb as you look. Baseball, the report said, took note, sending a blanket ban under the radar to every team in February. The news only started circulating last week when the Tampa Bay Times warned fans that Pride Night would look different this year. It said there will be no rainbow-themed cap or uniform patches for players. Got an ugly-looking snake there. Ooh, I can't stand snakes. It said the new direction was adopted at an owners' meeting in February, just as the New York Rangers and Islanders in one of the bluest cities in America rejected the mandate for the woke theology. The report said baseball owners said their league no longer would use uniforms for most specific causes that were not league-driven, such as Mother's Day or to honor Jackie Robinson. This is a great example of what happens when a few people show something called courage. And I'm highlighting that word, courage. Courage. It was always unreasonable to ask players to communicate a message they disagreed with. And when a few said no, the league was forced to justify what they were doing and couldn't everyone but the bullies win in this situation, and they do. And they do. And they do. Let me come back over here to my live screen. Let me tell you something, folks. This was planned back in February. But there's only one team in baseball. And I salute them. I should have went and got me a Texas Ranger hat tonight. You Texas Ranger people, organization, you got some courage. Thank you. Because you weren't going to bring this crap to the kids. And I don't care if they're not wearing rainbow-colored hats or socks or anything else. It's still a travesty and an abomination that any sporting team would bring that out when families are bringing their kids to these ballparks and paying freaking $100 to $200 to $300 a pop per ticket, not counting the popcorn, Coke, and the parking. And your baseball team is out there hitting a baseball with a bat and honoring a bunch of... I better watch that word. Which, let's just say we're honoring an abomination. We are honoring an abomination. So, it's going to be a mighty long time before baseball recovers from this. Now, other story I want to talk to you about tonight, because this is one made me madder than the baseball thing. The baseball thing is the baseball thing. But this one caught my eye today from the Western Journal. And we want to know why the country is in the mess it's in, folks. I'm about to tell you. Let me put this story up there. Let me get this one off. This is going to go black for a second, and then you're going to see this. And then we're going to maybe even take some questions tonight, take a few comments. This is from the Western Journal, and you can find this on our War Room channel at the McFiles.org. And here we go. There's a flag. By the way, folks, those flags that are flying are in front of a church. And the story here at the Western Journal, if I can get to it, if all these ads will stop going down there, is it going to actually get to the story? Goodness gracious. Is it not going to let me do the story? Well, the story don't even show up. Well, goodness sake. Hang on just a second. Let me see here if I can go back up there to the top. I don't know why the story didn't show. Oh, I see what they're doing. They've made it. I'll just highlight that. Several churches are celebrating Pride Month by hosting events including, quote, their word, not mine, folks, queer proms, a drag queen story hour, and a study to liberate themselves from the Bible as a weapon of exclusion. A 2020 study from the University of California, Los Angeles School of Law, Williams Institute found that 47% of Americans who identified as LGBTQ also consider themselves moderately or highly religious, according to NBC News. As June goes into full swing, houses of worship in Ohio, New York, California, and Maryland are hosting several Pride events. All right, here we go. Here we're going to start looking at some names of some of these churches here. Let me see if I can get this to do right. There we go. First Presbyterian Church in Columbia, Missouri is hosting a drag queen story hour on June 11th. That was a few days ago. That was this past Sunday with drag queen Mama Bella for children of all ages, according to the event page. Another web page, which has been since taken down and archived, went into a further explanation of the purpose of the event and argued that it creates a space for children to be themselves. That's who they're targeting, even in the churches, folks. The costumes and imaginative presentation of the drag queen enhance the story as storyteller themselves is conveying a story through their dramatic appearance and performance, the church explained. Additionally, by breaking down barriers of traditional gender norms, drag queens help to create an atmosphere that is both open, accepting, and free of anything that could inhibit imagination. If even drag queens provoke questions, they say that in itself is evidence. They're opening the gateway to wonder and engagement. I would say they're opening the door to pedophilia. The church claimed the drag queen story hours are safe for children because, quote, the events were created by a mother who is a member of the LGBTQ plus community for she and her child to enjoy and experience together. The church also said that the story hours show that, quote, one could say that Jesus It's amazing how they bring Jesus into their abomination and filth. Use tools employed by drag artists. Folks, that's blasphemy beyond words. Trinity Church Wall Street in New York City, downtown New York City, is encouraging young people to attend its youth queer prom sponsored by the Trinity Gender Sexuality Alliance. That happened on June the 2nd. Queer prom on June the 2nd and the drag queen bingo hour on June the 4th was followed by a regular Sunday service. The church has several other LGBTQ events planned throughout the month, including a Pride movie night screening of The Wizard of Oz this coming Friday. And I'm reading this. Says on Sunday to help religious members liberate themselves from the Bible as a weapon of exclusion and to dismantle the misuse of our sacred text as weapons of mass discrimination. Folks, that's not coming from the White House. That is coming from churches. That is coming from churches. Shannon Susan Brazel, a reverend at the church, told the Daily Caller News Foundation that But the Bible Says program is offered occasionally to church members to unpack the biblical context for passages that have been used against the LGBTQ community. It includes the historical note that just as a handful of texts out of context were used in the 17th century to brand Galileo a heretic, a handful of texts out of context are being used in our time to stigmatize LGBTQ plus people, and that the Bible is neither a textbook on astronomy and human sexuality, but a faith in a God who created us all in love and calls us to, to love one another. Recognizing that good people of deep faith read the same Bible and come to different conclusions on a whole variety of issues, sexual orientation and gender identity being among them, our hope is to equip our parish members to be in dialogue with those with whom we differ, while affirming the inherent dignity and belovedness of every member of our human family. It gets better. First Church Cathedral invited the Ohio LGBT singers in Cincinnati to participate in a queer-centric multi-generational choir for the Sing Out, that OUT is reference to coming out of the closet festival. The preparation for the festival spans over several days as the group prepares for a concert on Tuesday, and students in 9th and 12th grade who wish to perform can sign up for free. A few more of this and then I'm going to stop, but I want you to know this is going on. This one weekend only experience will highlight the voices of Cincinnati's LGBTQIA+, I don't know what that means anymore, community, and showcase works by queer composers. They're using these words, folks. I'm not. This is their own word. On June 19th, that is just basically a week from last night, which marks Juneteenth, another travesty on the calendar, Christ Church in New York City is inviting the New York City Gay Men's Chorus to help its congregation learn the intersectionality of being black and queer. A group of the NYC GMC's black singers will share their Juneteenth means through their own stories, solos, and favorite songs, the church event page read. Backed by a foundation of the full course, the NYC GMC is proud to center and spotlight these singers for this celebratory and essential concert to center voices and experiences too long unheard. The Big Apple Performing Arts are committed to combining discrimination in all forms through the power. And there's another church here. The church celebrates Father's Day this weekend with coffee hour put on by its LGBTQ ministry to celebrate not only fathers with other nurturers, pedophiles that have provided us with love and support lies. To close out the month, a special Pride service will be held on June 29th to highlight the church's LGBTQIA+ siblings. Wow. And its commitment to inclusion, diversity, and love. A little bit more and we'll be done. I know this is making you sick. It's not making me feel all warm and fuzzy either, but it is out there. A representative for the church told the DCNF that the goal of the events is to, quote, show support and solidarity for the community. It reflects our commitment to inclusivity, diversity, showing the love of Christ to all. By organizing Pride Month celebrations, their church seeks to foster an environment where, quote, everyone, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, feel embraced, supported, and valued. These celebrations also acknowledge past mistreatment of these individuals by religious institutions and seek to rectify it. And finally, First Presbyterian Church, Trinity Church Wall Street, and Christ Cathedral Church did not respond to the Western Journal's request for a comment, and I'm sure they will not. Let me come back over here to my live screen. Now, we got all feathered up about that, as we should. And I guess one could argue that those are not true churches. But folks, let me tell you this tonight. You don't want to hear this, but you need to hear it. That would not be happening. That would not be happening in the churches if it wasn't happening across the board. Those churches were just drawn out. It's happening all over this country. This that's going on tonight, folks, is a symptom of a far deeper problem in this nation. You can get upset about those churches. You can spew and, oh my God, that's disgusting, and oh my God, oh, and put all your images out there and get all bent out of shape. I said it this morning, folks, and I'll say it again. We shamed ourselves as a country yesterday in this nation. We shamed ourselves. We should be ashamed of what we did, what we allowed. That White House don't belong to the government. It belongs to us. It's the people's house. That took place on the lawn of the representative building of the U.S. country, the United States of America. And we prostituted ourselves. We whored ourselves out to the LGBTQ community. We can get upset all we want to. But when the church is backslidden and the church at large is not where it needs to be with God, these things happen. And whereas we can get upset with those three churches, trust me, there are some full gospel churches, there are some Baptist churches, there are some Methodist churches, there are some other churches, and you can name every denomination out there, folks, that have allowed this spirit in their midst. And they've been absolutely silent about it. They've not said anything about this movement. They are scared to. They're scared to get sued. They're scared to have their 501c yanked. They're scared to have their tax status yanked. They're scared. They're a bunch of spiritual whores and political cowards. This is not about politics tonight, folks. Look, everything Tony Branco talked about tonight, folks, ultimately it was a discussion about the country in general, but ultimately it goes back down to the spiritual atmosphere of the country. You cannot escape that. This is a spiritual issue. This is not a political issue. Whereas I agree that the left is promoting this, the right is allowing it. Both are guilty. I think that we need to take a look at ourselves tonight and ask ourselves the question, have we been silent in the face of evil? What have we done to stand up and say this is wrong? We can do it in a loving manner. We don't have to do it in a judgmental way. We don't have to do it in an ugly, hateful way. We can do it in love, but we must do it. And if we refuse to be a voice against this, then it will ultimately get to the point that you will not be able to say anything about it, because they're already trying to tell you to say anything about it. You suffer repercussions, whether it's censorship, there was a guy in, I think it was Philadelphia yesterday, there was a LGBTQ event. He was across the street with a Bible, and I think I put that on the War Room 2. He held a Bible up. He was preaching from God's Word. All he was saying was repent. Telling him it was an abomination. He was just telling him what I'm telling him tonight, but he was doing it on a street corner. They arrested him, and the mayor of that city, who is a lesbian, I don't know if it was Philadelphia, it was somewhere in Pennsylvania, she said, or he said, one, that free speech does not apply to people speaking the Bible. He literally said that. Oh, really? That's where this is headed. Now, you can call that a political matter if you want to tonight. I call that a spiritual matter. We have nobody to blame but ourselves. We have nobody to blame but ourselves. You can get upset, and you can show all the theatrics, and you can make all the melodrama, and throw your little images, and I'm disgusted about this. I can't stand it. Oh, and I see it all the time. We put on a good show. But deep down in our hearts, folks, we better look at ourselves. We need to look at ourselves and how much we've tolerated this and allowed this to swamp this country. This just didn't happen. You heard me with Arthur Ross last night, folks. This is exploded on this country's scene for the last 12 months. The seeds of this go back to 2015, when they approved the same-sex marriage bill in the Supreme Court, and we blasphemed God doing it. God has turned us over to a reprobate mind, and the judgment that we keep expecting to fall on our heads, folks, why don't you look around you tonight and understand that the judgment is already here, that the judgment that we're experiencing tonight is being given over to our reprobate mind and our heathen, evil, demonic, lustful, satanic self. And we have been allowed to taste the bitterness of this as a nation. And the church's voice is being pushed deeper, 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 deeper down to be silent. And we can only hope that this network don't get taken down, because we will never be silent. I don't judge a soul. We get accused of that all the time. We get accused of condemning people to hell. I keep saying it over and over. No, I'm not condemning you to hell. I'm trying to keep you from there, if you'll listen to me. But you won't. You won't. I talked to Michael Davis last week, and he was tore up. And I said, what's wrong? And he said, this whole month, he said, Pastor, he said, I feel so much warfare in my spirit. God brought him out of this totally. And he feels it. He feels the warfare over our country. Folks, it's real tonight. And I'm being a little bit more calm than I thought I'd be tonight, but it's necessary for me to be calm. But I want you to say this. You can stomp and snort and make your religious move tonight and act real religious and act real all that. It's okay. You do that, it makes you feel better. But while you're doing that, when you lay your head down tonight, well, you might want to ask the Lord, and you might want to repent yourself, like I did last night. It hit me. Lord, I don't know if I've done enough. I've tried to do everything I can, but I don't even know if I'm doing enough. But this is on us. This is on the Church of the Living God. These other churches that you read about tonight, folks, that's symptoms. Those churches are just symptoms. There's a greater problem in the church tonight. We have left Christ. We have left the cross. We have left the gospel. We have left the truth. And when you leave the truth, you are given up to a delusional mind, a reprobate mind. And that's what Paul said in Romans. The Holy Spirit through Paul said God gave them up to their vain imaginations because they did not honor him as God. Then he basically gave them up to a reprobate and a debased mind. And that is what has happened. That is our judgment. So if you think that God's going to zap the country with a lightning bolt, you may be disappointed. The lightning bolt has already been zapped, folks. We're rotten from within. And eventually, our freedoms are going to go with them, because that's what's next. That's what they're trying to do. So, we need to take a gut check tonight. And instead of playing the religious drama queen and the religious drama man, we need to take a look at our hearts tonight. And we need to repent as a nation. We need to repent as a church. We need to ask the Lord to forgive us. You say, well, they need to forgive. The Lord needs to forgive them. No, we need the forgiveness. We need the forgiveness. We need to take a good, hard look at ourselves. I remember a movie years ago, and a young man was caught in a financial scheme, and the older guy in the movie put his arm around him, and he said, I like you, young man. And he said, when a man looks into the abyss and there ain't nothing staring him back, he said, it's at that moment that a man finds his character. And it's at that moment that a man realizes what it takes to keep him out of that abyss. This country has stared into the abyss, neighbor, and there ain't nothing looking back at us tonight. We got no character. We have no character left. The reason the country don't have character is because the church has lost its character. And it's embraced the very abomination and the very evil that it condemns. And that will never fly in God's face. That will never fly without judgment. We are the judgment. The state of the church is the judgment. The false prophets is the judgment. The false teachers are the judgment. everything that you see happening in these churches. That is our judgment. God has given us up to our own desires. Now, you don't have to agree with that assessment of it tonight. This is the McFiles. That means that's me. And I get to say what I want to say on my program every night. I've enjoyed doing that for the last 6 years. I've enjoyed it immensely. So, that's what I got. I'm sticking to it. You don't have to agree with that. And I know some of you may not, but that's all right too. That's all right too if you don't. I will tell you this, folks. We're in perilous, dangerous times tonight. There's no doubt about it. And I'm trying to get back to my screen so I can see you guys. I may have to do it this way. I'm sorry, my screen has went frozen, so I'm going to come over here and see what I can see. And where are you at, network? There we go. I'm surprised we still have that many subscribers left. Give me 1 minute. We're trying to get this screen to unfreeze because I want to come back over here and say something to you tonight. Here we go. Still got 218 watching us. All righty. Perilous times. Perilous times. Are we in agreement? I think most of you are in agreement. Most of you are in agreement. And I just love it when people say they better be worrying about their souls. Let me tell you something, individual who said that. We better start worrying about our souls. It's amazing we always put it on they. That's my whole point tonight, folks. We got our eyes on they. No, we need to take a look at ourselves. We need to take a look at ourselves. And we need to check our soul. This church issue ain't, they are not the problem. No, the problem is us. The problem is us. And I mean that tonight. I mean that tonight. I'll say it again. The problem is us. We can throw it on they all we want to, and that's an easy cop-out. And again, people want to say all that because they don't want to admit that this judgment that we're under is part of why is at the church's door. Israel lost her way with God when Israel's priests lost her way with God. Israel lost her way with God when her kings started following idols and bringing idol worship into the nation. And we have bowed our knee, folks, to idols. We have bowed our knee to these things, and we are reaping a bitter harvest. It's like Moses at the Mount of Sinai when he broke that idol up, put it in that water, and he made those Israelites drink that bitter water, and many of them died drinking it. Let me tell you something. God is giving us what we have always secretly been worshiping. He's grinding that idol up, and he's making us drink from that water tonight as a nation. But the spiritual leadership was there when Israel was building that golden calf. Aaron was there. He could have stopped him from doing it, and he didn't do it. So these years of silence that the church has kept its mouth shut from this, we're paying a price for it tonight. And it may not be but too late to start speaking about it now because the cat's out of the bag, folks. You got transgender queers talking to your kids in Sunday school now. And you've got Father's Day events where nurturers, whatever the world that is coming to your churches now. The cat's sort of out of the bag. Anyway, all righty. I can't seem to get back on my screen, so I'm going to have to say goodnight from here. I hope you enjoyed the Tuesday night McFiles. We got a great Wednesday night faith chat tomorrow night. Miss Roberta Foster, Prisoners of Hope, will be with us. She's got something heavy duty on her heart she's going to share. We have got the one and only January Smith Littlejohn coming Thursday night. And January is going to be taking questions, and we got a doubleheader. Brad Johnson, my CIA buddy, has got a lot to say about the Trump indictment. He's waiting with Elvis in the bullpen. He's coming Thursday night. Friday night, not sure what we're going to do yet. But next week, we've got some new guests coming for the very first time you don't want to miss. But folks, we need to take a hard look at where we're at tonight. We need to take a hard look at where we're at tonight. And we can blame everybody else. We can say they need to repent. They need to look at their souls. They. No. We need to look at ours. We need to look at ours. Whenever I hear something like that, that lets me know that's where the church is at. That's why the church is in the self-righteous state it's in tonight, because we're looking at they, we're not looking at ourselves. And we better start looking at ourselves. And why this was allowed to get to this place with the church being completely silent. And God have mercy on us for doing that, because, folks, our country tonight, I don't know. You know, my brother said this the other day. He said, Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah. But the thing about it is this. Sodom and Gomorrah, they didn't have a Bible. Sodom didn't have a Bible. Sodom didn't have a church. We got thousands. This book is left unread by most Christians. This book is left unread by most Americans. This book is spurned and rejected by most preachers. They don't even preach from the Bible no more. They preach from screens. Some of them don't even do that. Sodom had no Bible. We do. Sodom had no light. We do. We need to take a look at ourselves, not them. And I'll amen myself with that, and I'll say good night on that note. I will see you tomorrow. We will have Wednesday night Bible study as well tomorrow night. And then we've got a great show coming up Thursday. We got Bible study again Thursday morning, Friday morning. We will not be with you in the morning. I will tell you this, if you're on the Faith Network, early in the morning at 7 o'clock Eastern, it may be 7:30 Eastern in the morning, we're going to be coming to you from India. It's the 1-year anniversary tomorrow of the church that you all helped build with your donations. And I'm going to share with you tomorrow night some things that Vihajay has asked us to pray about him with. He's got 2 churches he's trying to build, and we're going to need your help to help build them. Because I put the McFiles' neck on the line for those churches, and I said, we'll get you the money somehow or another. But I'll talk about that more tomorrow night. But we're going to be doing a 1-year anniversary message there in that church. The people are going to be gathered tomorrow night. It's night in India. It will be their night. It'll be on my morning. But please be praying for me then that you can join us on the Faith Network only for that service. Please subscribe to that network if you're not subscribed to it already, okay? Listen, I love you tonight. Thank you, Tony Branco. Good stuff tonight. I've said my piece. I've got more to say, but I'll save it for Thursday. I hope you have a great night. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. Have a good night, everybody. Pray for your country. Please pray for your country. And ask God for mercy. Because right now, that's about all we got to ask for. That's about all we got to ask for. Be blessed out there. Hope you enjoyed the show. Put some fire in that house. If you did, I'll see you tomorrow on the McFiles. Have a good night, everybody.